On some Saturdays, it's the Art Walk, and then, as you mentioned, the Round the Fourth is coming up at the end of June.
Right.
And then we have what we call Conway Idol, which is a takeoff on the popular TV show, and it's very well attended. And hopefully this year we're going to add an event that will be related to gospel music, where area church choirs will come and perform for our citizens. So
that's a great
we try to have a wide range of activities. Many of them are on the riverfront.
That is tremendous. Well, it is a beautiful riverfront. I've heard Larry talk about that area. There's a building down next to one of the restaurants there that has a real significance to him. Larry Biddle talk about that area, and it is a very special place. That ties into Tree City, USA, and y'all's recognition of the importance of trees. Our director had shared early this morning about a number of trees even in the community being named.
That's true. Tree City USA is actually a national organization through the Arbor Day Foundation. I believe it's connected there.
Right.
And I'm not sure the exact number of years, but it's well over 20 that we've been a part of that program. And in order to qualify, cities have to agree to spend a certain portion of their budget toward planting and preserving trees. And then you have to have a tree board and a tree ordinance which protects your trees, which we have all of those things in place. And it's a nice honor for our community. Of course, the history of trees and the love of trees in Conway goes way back.
Right.
We're, I think, known for our live oaks, which there are hundreds of the large live oaks in Conway, and we take great pride in those. And you touched on the names. Many of the trees are named for events that occurred or people or interesting things. For example, there's a tree called the hanging oak where supposedly hangings occurred some years ago. There's one called the alligator oak because it resembles an alligator going down the trunk. There's a tree named for Wade Hampton, who gave one of his most famous speeches in Conway
really?
Back,
yeah.
I guess 120 or so years ago. And they just have so many interesting stories related to the trees. And so to have a tree named for you or your family or is quite an honor in Conway.
Oh yeah, very definitely. And to think about, it seems like many roads entirely bypass trees. I mean, they have been recognized as a real symbol of a very special instance there where roads, I'm trying to think, there's one over near the Goldfinch Funeral Home.
Yeah.
It seems like I've passed by, and quite a bit of an excursion around a big tree right in the middle of the road or close to a road.
I think there are probably 8 or 10 trees that are either in the middle of the street or out somewhat so that you have to drive around, and it is something that I don't know that any other community has, and it makes our community very unique.
Absolutely, absolutely. We think about preservations and some of the changes that happen when a lot of downtown businesses, on a different side, preservation from a business perspective, when we think about some of the downtown businesses having shuttered at some point in small communities throughout the country because a lot of big stores were coming in and impacting on the outskirts. That had happened at one point, I understand, in the Conway area, but there's been a true revitalization. Is that correct?
There really has
about
been.
that.
It's amazing. And in Conway back in the mid-'80s, we recognized that downtowns were struggling, with the competition from malls and shopping centers. But downtown is the heart of any community. When you think of a town, you often think of what you can visualize, what that downtown looks like. So we recognized that it was very important, not just from a community image, but from an economic standpoint. And we pursued, how do we make this come about as far as revitalization? And there's a program called Main Street USA, which is through the national organization. And
right.
It has cities throughout the country who have joined this effort. And it focuses on 4 areas: promotion, design, organization, and economic restructuring. And back in the mid-'80s, Conway had the wisdom, the leaders in the community, to say this is the program that we think will work.
Great.
And I think it's been hugely successful in our town. I don't know all the stats, but hundreds of new jobs, a couple hundred new businesses, I think, over that time have come, and well over 100 buildings have been rehabilitated.
In the last how long?
I would say 20 years.
Really? That's tremendous. There still are communities around the country where the downtowns just never made it back.
That's very true, and I believe that what I have been told is that your downtown is one of the main things people look at when they're thinking of starting a business or when they're considering moving there.
For good reason, yes.
We're blessed in Conway.
Absolutely. Let's talk a little about some of the parks as well. You all have been working hard to improve parks in the area. Our producer had written even Collins Park down, Sherwood Forest Park down, a lot of focus on parks. Also, I think you all have a big budget coming up, the hopeful passing of the budget approval in June. But what about parks real quick, the significance of that?
Well, we touched on the riverfront. That's probably our most popular park. We're actually completing phase 3 of that project in the next month, and it'll make a big difference down on the riverfront. But Collins Park is an older park in Conway that was dedicated to the city back in the 1930s, and in the last decade or two it's really been somewhat neglected. And so the city formed a committee some years ago, and they made some progress, but recently a committee of city council members has been focusing on improvements to the park, and we've made a great deal of progress with more landscaping, an improved parking lot, and we're getting ready to complete a retreat garden.
Great. Which
will be great for our citizens. And then Sherwood Forest Park is out at the intersection of Snow Hill Drive. Well, actually, it's where Sherwood Drive and Snow Hill converge with 16th Avenue. And it's a smaller park, I would say maybe less than 2 acres. And we have purchased some new playground equipment for that park.
Great.
So we're making good progress in improving our recreational areas for our citizens.
And the community really wraps around, they recognize those needs, even folks in one part of town who may not cross the city to get to one of the parks, they recognize this is a common need. Clearly council's wrapped around that, and it may tie even into the budget approval, oftentimes having to get some dollars together to make sure that preservation and fixing up parks and recreational activities is high on the list.
Well, the great thing about parks is that once you have them in good shape, good condition, people can entertain themselves. So they don't require a lot of staff time to have organized activities. People can walk, or they can enjoy the beauty, or they can play on the equipment if they're children. So it's a good investment. If people have a positive place to visit and enjoy, then they'll focus on that instead of more negative activities.
Right. You highlighted that aspect about the city really tripling its size in the last 15 years, its physical size. You think about the impact of that. Now as you think about Conway, you really have to describe it as much more. Where does the city, are there places where it really begins and where it ends when folks are traveling up? If they're coming up 544, is it even further out than Coastal Carolina University? Does it go closer to Myrtle Beach? Or on 501, it goes down a good ways. It's a very large populace. Is it larger than Myrtle Beach now?
I think the size of the town is about the same as Myrtle Beach, but Myrtle Beach's population is a good bit more. Maybe not quite double, but somewhat more.
Sure.
But we have a good many undeveloped areas, and I would imagine that in the next 10 or 15 years we will come closer to being about the same size. Coastal is about the first thing you come into town and see on Highway 544.
Right.
On 501, I think Wild Wing Plantation, which is a golf course in development, is the first.
Right.
But we're certainly growing.
For our viewers coming in from the PD, folks that are coming down 501. Where does Conway begin from that perspective?
Just before what?
Not to put
Walmart,
you on the spot, I just think about that.
Yeah, down 501, I think probably Walmart's the first significant structure.
Yeah, it's amazing when you think about it. I mean, that's really a sizable, traversable area.
It is. It's amazing the growth and the development and the change. But for the most part, I think it's been positive, and we're focusing on making the future development and growth of the town quality, and we just want to keep Conway as a wonderful place to live.
Right.
That's our main goal.
Absolutely. What do you like to do there with your spare time, Greg? Are you pretty active in the community? Are you out walking the streets on a regular basis? Do people see you out in the community?
Well, I enjoy many activities. I'm fortunate to have a home in the mountains in North Carolina, so to escape, occasionally I'm able to go up there. Yeah. I'm a Clemson football fan. I love going to the games at Clemson, and like the beach as well, so just all kinds of fun things. As far as Conway, I love to walk through the old parts of town and along the river. It's just, you can't ask for a more wonderful experience than just to walk around your own hometown and be proud of what you see.
You want to continue serving the residents of the city of Conway for many years to come. You've enjoyed this service role.
Well, I have 3.5 more years on this term, and I certainly am excited about the opportunity to serve the people in the coming years.
That's great. Good luck. Keep it up. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Stay tuned to more of the Honorable Greg Martin, the mayor of the city of Conway, coming up next. Designated as a Tree City, USA for 22 consecutive years. If you've been here the last 25 minutes and heard Greg talk about the community, you'd know why. Get in there, cross over the bridge, get into Conway, whatever way you can get there. Just make it a point to get out there. 248-1760. If you've got a question about the city of Conway, you can call the city clerk, Vicki. Or if you want to come in and take a tour, you heard Greg talk about it, just take the time to get over there. The Visitors Bureau has a tour guide, and you can ask for Betty at 248-1700. Take the time to learn more about the city of Conway. Go online, cityofconway.com, cityofconway.com. A ton of tremendous information online. It's not just Greg making it happen. It's Greg, the city council, all the administrators, and all the volunteers and employees there in the city of Conway that continue to make a difference every day. Greg Martin, thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Thank you. Absolutely.